The room smells faintly like lavender and medicine. I never noticed how quiet our bedroom could be until now. There's rain tapping softly against the windows, the kind Hannah always loved. She used to crack the window open during storms just so she could hear it better, even in winter. Said rain made the world sound honest. Tonight the window's closed because she gets cold too easily now, but the sound still reaches us anyway. She's beside me in our bed, my wife. 2 days ago, I married my best friend. And sometime soon, maybe tonight, maybe tomorrow morning, she's going to die. I'm holding her hand while I tell this story because I'm terrified of the moment her fingers stop squeezing back. She's asleep right now, or something close to it. Her breathing is shallow, uneven. Every breath sounds borrowed. The hospice nurse warned me it would happen like this near the end, but knowing something doesn't make it easier when you actually hear it. Her head rests against my shoulder. What's left of her hair brushes against my arm. A year ago, it was long and dark and always smelled like vanilla shampoo. Now it's thin in patches after the radiation and chemo. She cried the first time it started falling out, not because she cared about being pretty, because she knew what it meant. I remember sitting on the bathroom floor while she stared at the strands in the sink. She looked at me with these terrified eyes and whispered, "I don't want you to watch me disappear." I told her she couldn't disappear, not to me, never to me. I think that was the first time I cried in front of her after the diagnosis. I try not to cry around her now. I fail a lot, but I try. People think being strong means never breaking down. That's not true. Being strong is learning how to fall apart quietly in the next room so the person you love doesn't hear you. I've become really good at silent crying this year. Bathroom floors, hospital stairwells, grocery store parking lots, the laundry room downstairs while the dryer runs loud enough to hide the sound, sometimes beside her while she sleeps, especially beside her while she sleeps. Because when she's awake, she watches me too carefully. Even now, sick and exhausted and barely able to move, she still notices everything about me. Yesterday morning, she woke up for a few minutes and saw my eyes were swollen. She smiled weakly and rubbed her thumb against my hand. "You did it again," she whispered. I tried to pretend I didn't know what she meant. "You were crying without me." I laughed a little because she somehow made it sound like I'd cheated on her. Then she said, very softly, "You don't have to protect me from loving you." I almost broke right there, but she was looking at me like I was still something solid, something dependable, and I needed to be that for her a little longer. So I kissed her forehead and told her I was okay. I've lied to her about being okay hundreds of times this year. The thing is, I used to actually be okay before hospitals and MRI scans and words like glioblastoma became part of our life. Before I learned how to read fear in a doctor's silence. Before I watched the strongest person I've ever known slowly lose pieces of herself. Hannah and I met when we were 13, middle school orientation day. I was sitting alone because I was awkward and skinny and convinced everyone in the room was cooler than me. Then this girl with messy dark hair sat beside me and said, "You look like you're about to throw up." I stared at her for a second and said, "Thanks." She grinned. "I'm Hannah. You want to fail at making friends together?" That was it. That was the beginning of my whole life. We became inseparable almost immediately. We survived middle school together, which, honestly, should count as a traumatic bonding experience. She used to pass me notes in class because she knew I hated presentations. I helped her study for math because numbers made her furious. By high school, everyone assumed we were dating. We weren't. Not then. We dated other people sometimes, but it never lasted long for either of us. Looking back now, I think part of me always belonged to her. Maybe part of her belonged to me too. Neither of us said it. We just kept choosing each other in 1,000 small ways. She was the first person I called when I got into college. I was the first person she called when her grandmother died. When my dad lost his job, she picked up extra shifts at the diner she worked at and secretly paid for my textbooks one semester. I only found out because the cashier accidentally thanked me for my girlfriend's payment. She wasn't my girlfriend then. But hearing it made my heart do something strange. We moved into our apartment together when we were 22 because it was cheaper than living separately. At least that's what we told everyone. Truth was, being apart felt wrong by then. The first night in this apartment, we sat on the kitchen floor eating terrible takeout because we hadn't unpacked the table yet. Hannah looked around at the boxes and laughed. We're like actual adults. We absolutely are not. We have rent and a microwave. That's adulthood. Then she leaned her head on my shoulder, and I remember thinking, if this is all my life ever becomes, I'll still be happy. 3 months later, I kissed her for the first time. It happened at 2 a.m, because of course it did. We were watching some awful horror movie during a thunderstorm, and she got scared during one scene and grabbed my arm. I looked at her, really looked at her, and suddenly every year of loving her crashed into me all at once. I kissed her before I could lose my nerve. There was this tiny moment afterward where I thought I'd ruined everything. Then she kissed me back harder. After that, it felt almost stupidly obvious. Like we'd spent years walking around the truth because we were scared saying it out loud would break it. Instead, it became the best thing that ever happened to me. She used to dance with me in the kitchen while pasta boiled over on the stove. She stole my hoodies constantly and denied it every single time. She sang terribly in the car with complete confidence. Every Sunday morning, we walked to the same coffee shop down the street, and every Sunday, she ordered something different because she said life was too short to always drink the same thing. Life was too short. God, I hate that sentence now. A year ago, Hannah started getting headaches. At first, it was small things. She'd forget words occasionally, lose track of conversations. She laughed it off because she worked too much and never slept enough. Then one morning, she collapsed in our bathroom. I still remember the sound. I don't think I'll ever stop remembering it. The hospital moved quickly after that. Scans, tests, specialists. Then a doctor sat us down in a room too small for news that big. Brain cancer, aggressive, advanced. I remember Hannah squeezing my hand so hard it hurt. I remember nodding like I understood the doctor while my entire world came apart. Mostly I remember the drive home afterward. She stared out the window almost the entire time. Then quietly she asked, "Are you mad at me?" I nearly drove off the road. "What?" "For leaving you." I pulled the car over and cried so hard I couldn't breathe. That was the first day of the rest of our life. The cancer took things slowly at first, then all at once. There were months where treatment seemed hopeful, months where scans looked encouraging. We celebrated tiny victories like they were miracles. Good blood work, a day without pain, a full meal. Then came the bad days again. The seizures terrified me most. Seeing someone you love lose control of their own body changes you forever. Near the end, she stopped being able to walk without help, and she stopped leaving the bed much at all. That's when she told me her last wish. "I want to die at home," she whispered one night. "Not in a hospital." "You will." "In our bed." I kissed her hand. "Okay. With you next to me. Always." 2 days ago, we got married right here in this room. Her parents stood near the window crying quietly. Mine stood beside them, trying not to. Our 2 best friends, Eli and Morgan, came carrying flowers Hannah picked out weeks ago when she could still sit up on her own. The hospice nurse helped adjust the pillows so Hannah could stay comfortable in bed. She wore a simple white dress. Not a wedding dress, really. Just something soft and beautiful. She looked so fragile, and still somehow like the most beautiful girl I'd ever seen. I wore a suit I thought I'd wear at our wedding someday, imagining the big outdoor one Hannah used to plan on Pinterest at 3 in the morning. She wanted fairy lights in the trees. She wanted terrible dancing. She wanted tacos instead of fancy catering. Instead, we had oxygen tubes and pain medication and tissues soaked with grief. But we also had love. So much love. The officiant kept his voice gentle. I barely heard half the ceremony because I couldn't stop looking at her. At one point, Hannah struggled to lift her hand, so I helped her slide the ring onto my finger. Her hands were trembling badly. Mine too. When it was time for vows, she looked exhausted. I told her she didn't have to say anything, but Hannah has always been stubborn. So she looked at me with those tired, beautiful eyes and whispered, "You are my favorite part of being alive." I broke. Completely. I cried in front of everyone, ugly crying, couldn't breathe, couldn't think. And Hannah, dying Hannah, started apologizing to me. "Hey," she whispered weakly. "Hey, no, don't cry. I'm happy." Happy. Can you imagine? She was the one dying, and she was trying to comfort me. That's who she is, who she always was. When it was my turn, I honestly don't remember everything I said. I just remember kneeling beside the bed and telling her that every version of my life that mattered had her in it. I told her I would have found her in every universe. I told her 13-year-old me had no idea the girl calling him awkward in middle school would become his entire heart. Then I kissed her. And for one tiny moment, despite all the machines and fear and grief in the room, it felt like we'd beaten something. Not death. Nothing beats death. But maybe we beat the loneliness of it. Maybe that matters too. Now it's 2 days later. My wife is sleeping against me while rain taps against the windows. Sometimes she wakes up confused. Sometimes she forgets where she is for a few seconds. Earlier tonight, she looked around the room weakly and whispered, "Home?" "Home," I told her. She smiled after that. I think she was waiting to hear it. The doctor said hearing is usually the last thing to go, so I keep talking to her even when she doesn't respond. I tell her stories she already knows, like the time we got stranded on the highway at 19 and ended up sleeping in my terrible car because we couldn't afford a tow truck until morning. Or the time she tried cooking for our anniversary and nearly set off the fire alarm because she got distracted kissing me in the kitchen. Or the night we moved into this apartment and promised each other that no matter what happened, we'd make this place a home. We did. God, we really did. There are pictures of us all over these walls. Vacations, birthdays, random blurry selfies, entire years captured in frames. I used to think love was supposed to be dramatic. Big gestures, movie moments. But mostly it's this. It's knowing how someone takes their coffee. It's memorizing the shape of their laugh. It's sitting beside them at 4 in the morning, counting every breath because you can't bear the idea of missing one. Her breathing catches suddenly. I freeze. Then it steadies again. My heart feels like it might actually stop one of these times. I look down at her hand in mine. Her wedding ring glints softly in the dim light. 2 days. She only got to be my wife for 2 days. But honestly, she's been my person for over half my life. A piece of paper and matching rings didn't suddenly make her more mine than she already was. Still, I'm grateful we did it. I'm grateful she got to hear me call her my wife. I'm grateful her parents saw her smile one last time. I'm grateful this room held something beautiful before it holds unbearable. I don't know who I'll be after this. That's the truth nobody tells you about grief before it arrives. It doesn't just take the person you love. It takes the version of you that existed with them. There's a future sitting in front of me now that I cannot imagine surviving. Tomorrow, or next week, or whenever this happens, I'll wake up in a world where Hannah doesn't. And I genuinely don't know how people survive that, but she asked me to. A few nights ago, during one of her clearer moments, she squeezed my hand and whispered, "Live enough for both of us, okay?" I told her not to talk like that, but she smiled a little. "You promised me forever," she said. "I meant it. Then keep going. That's how you keep me." I didn't answer because I couldn't. I still can't. Right now I just sit here beside her in the dark, listening to the rain and the uneven rhythm of her breathing. My wife, my best friend since 13. The girl who taught me how to laugh louder, love deeper, and survive being human. The girl who's dying in our bed exactly where she wanted to be, at home, with me beside her. I tighten my fingers around hers carefully and quietly, so quietly she might not even hear it. I whisper, "You can rest now, Hannah. I've got you."